Hello again and welcome to my bead in 10-minute video. Today we are going to do stacked dots, stacked and melted in dots. This is a really fun, very powerful way to make beads. Let me show you some examples here before we get started. Bring these up into the field. Okay, these are all made using this technique. Let's see if I can bring these into focus a little bit better. There we go. So what we're going to make today are the ones on this end, but you can see that you can use this as a masking technique. We're laying one dot over another dot, or you can use this by laying a transparent over a white dot. All kinds of things you can do. Very meditative, very fun. Very pleasant way to make beads. Let me go ahead and get the filter on here. And let's get started. Today, only thing we're going to need, no tools. We're just going to use cobalt blue and white. I'm sorry, not cobalt blue. I'm using lapis blue. So this is a lapis blue rod and just your standard white rod. What I'm going to need to do is make some smaller stringers out of this. So in order to do that, I'm going to pull this rod down into a smaller stringer. What I want to do is have a little handle on the end after I pull this out, and that way I can use it kind of as a pencil. It gives me something to hold on to instead of just a small stringer. So I'm heating this up right in the middle, getting a little gather. There we go. And now I'm just going to pull this out, let it sit for just a minute. Get this over here. There we go. It's about 4 seconds. Now I'm just going to pull it out, nice and slow. I don't need too much, so I'm going to stop about right here. It's getting tight. And then I'm going to cut it off. So here I have just a pencil. It gives me a place to hold on to and a nice long stringer to use. Instead of taking the time to do that with the white, I've already made up a white. Same thing. I've got a handle, and then I've got this pulled out into a long skinny stringer. I'm going to take my mandrel, heat it up in the flame. There we go. I'm going to preheat my rod. Same thing as always, I'm just going to make a nice donut shaped bead, and that's what I'm going to build my patterns on top of. One of the comments I got is that it's hard to tell which way I'm rotating the bead in the flame, so I'm just going to put a little flag on here, just something on the end so that you guys can tell which way I'm rotating it. So let me go ahead and build myself a base bead. Once again, I'm just doing the disc wrap method. Okay, I think that's enough for now. There I have your basic disc. I'm just going to melt it in. I'm a little bit faster with my right hand. There we go. Let that cool down. I need it to be solid so that I can build my pattern on top of that. There we go. I'm just going to let the heat go out of it a little bit. Now it's fairly solid. Now that I have I'm starting with the blue base, so I'm going to start with the white dots. And I'm just going to lay a pattern of white dots around the side. If you notice how I'm doing this, I have the bead underneath the flame and off to the right. I'm letting the radiant heat from the flame keep my bead warm, but I don't want it to get warm enough to slump on me. So I'm just heating the tip and I'm laying a dot and then cutting it off. Dot, cut, lay the dot, bring it up, heat up the tip, and lay the dot down. Heat up the tip, lay the dot down. Same all the way around. Okay, so I just have some dots placed around. I'm going to do it on the other side, but these I'm going to do in between those. I'm only putting the string in the flame long enough to cut it and then heat a little tiny ball of glass on the end. Most of my work is done outside of the flame. There we go. Now I have another set of dots on the other side. I'm going to melt those in. And just for fun, I'm going to put another set of dots around in here. And those I'm not going to build on top of. These are just dots that I'm going to let spread. These are a little bit smaller than the other ones. Oops. Okay. Now I go back to my blue. Now on the first set of dots I laid down, I'm going to lay these right on top of that. So again, I'm at the bottom of the flame. And I'm just going to lay dots right on top of the white. I'm a little shaky today. Now the other side. I don't know where you're at, but it's very hot in my studio today. Okay, and I'm going to melt those in. I'm going to go back to the white. Now I'm just stacking up dots. So as I alternate colors, I'm going to melt them in. I'm going to go back over those blue with this white. Do a little more out of the flame. Okay. On the other side. Get this out of the flame a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Go back with the blue. They're all melted in. Heat this up. I'm going to go back with the blue. Move this out of the flame a little bit more. Melt that in. I'm going to do one more set of white on top of this blue, and then I'm going to melt the whole thing in and we'll take a look at it. Okay. One more set of dots. I want the top dot to be white. Side. Okay. Let's go ahead and melt that in. And you'll see how the original set of dots have been stacked on, and also the white dots that I didn't put any blue on top of have kind of been pushed into a triangular shape. I'll take this out of the flame, let it cool down. Let's take a look at it. Very fun, very fun. You can do this at home, making all kinds of neat patterns. Thank you, and see you next time.